Utilitarian theory. See, this term called utilitarianism, it was derived in the 19th century by these two persons named Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill. And why they have derived this word utilitarianism is in order to help legislators determine which laws were morally best. In order to help them determine the best among the laws, they derived this term called utilitarianism. Okay, and what is utility? It is nothing but overall balance between the good and the bad consequences of an action. There should be a balance maintained between the good and bad consequences. It should not be too bad. Okay, so there should be a balance. And there are two different types of utilitarianism. One is called act utilitarianism. The second one is called rule utilitarianism. In general, utilitarian theory, it states that actions are considered right if it produces most good for most of the people. That is called act utilitarianism. Is it clear? Act and rule utilitarianism. Act utilitarian theory, it was proposed by J.S. Mill. And as the name implies, it focuses on actions rather than rules. An action performed by a person in a particular situation is considered to be a right action if it is going to produce most good to most of the people. If most of the people are going to get benefited out of it, then the action that he performed is good. Let us assume that there are two tracks, railway tracks, and in one of the tracks, 5 little children are playing, and in other tracks, only one person is standing. Now the driver has to, that is the track in charge, he has to, a train is coming here in the track in which 5 children are playing. Now it is about the decision of the track in charge. He can very well change the track of the train so that it hits only one person who is standing on the track. What to be decided. So in this particular action, if they are going to change the track that is in this particular example, if they are going to change the track, then it is going to affect only one person. So in this action, 5 people or 5 children are getting benefited at the risk of one person. So this action can be considered as a right action. This is called act utilitarian theory. If a particular action is going to result in most good of most of the people involved, then that action is correct. So people or persons are judged based on their actions, not on the rules. Whether they will not worry about whether they have followed the rules in completing that particular action or not. If that action produces most good to most of the people, then it is always considered to be a correct action. That is called as act utilitarian theory. And what is rule utilitarian theory is, it was framed by Richard Brandt in the year 1910-97. And as the name implies here, it is called as rule utilitarian. So mostly it focuses only on the rules, whether people are following the rules or not. Moral laws are framed by the government, rules are framed by a society, and always people should obey the rules. Okay, though that may not result in most good to most of the people. If I follow the rule, even if it does not result in most good to most of the people, rules must always be followed. That is called as rule utilitarian theory. So it focuses on rules rather than actions. That is called rule utilitarian. That is, we should not steal, do not harm others, do not bribe, always be honest. So always rules has to be followed. That is called rule utilitarian. See, in act utilitarian theory, some immoral actions are also judged as correct actions. Because based on the definition of act utilitarian theory, action is said to be good if it is going to produce most good to most of the people, right? So it also indirectly supports some immoral actions. That is why there became a necessity to form this rule utilitarian theory. In spite of actions, people also should follow the rules. Because, if you consider that a person is stealing an engineer who is working in a concern is stealing an old computer from an employer, from the company. This action, whatever he has done, is definitely going to benefit him. And also it is not going to produce a big loss to the employer, right? So he is getting benefited out of the action without much loss to the employer. So according to act utilitarian theory, this act is correct. It is supporting this immoral actions also. But if you consider rule utilitarian, always it is wrong. Stealing the computer from an employer is wrong, because always an engineer should act as a faithful and loyal employee. If he should act as a faithful agent to a concern. Okay, so this rule utilitarian, it focuses mainly on rules.